Oh, hi. Hello. My name is Cari. Thank you for tuning in. The response to my last video that I kind of put up just on a whim was really nice, and it kind of brought new people into this channel, and I loved the comment section, everything that people started talking about in there. So I definitely want to continue these kind of videos, but I didn't really have anything to say until I got back from a trip. I was off in Ireland mostly for about 5 weeks. It just felt like somebody screwed my head back on. So many things that I'd been thinking about from the last video. I have just some kind of more thoughts that I'd like to expand on. Some of this might be just kind of repeated ideas, but sometimes we need to hear things 2 or 3 times. Sometimes we need to hear the same thing from different people for it to stick. And so this video is loosely focused on the sort of phenomenon of brain rot, social media addiction, or whether you're just like using the internet in ways that you don't like, specifically using social media in ways that you don't feel comfortable with. If you can use social media in a completely healthy way and you're fine with that, maybe this video isn't for you. But if you feel like whether it is your attention span, your sense of time, your connections with people, how you approach difficult topics, how you approach solving problems, how you approach thinking your own thoughts, if any of that feels like it is being negatively impacted by social media, I just kind of want to talk about it. I don't have any answers, but hopefully we can commiserate, and through that we can sort of find a path forward. So I've kind of broken this video down into 3 parts. Number 1 being, if you can't get offline, if you are like me perhaps and your job is on there, or if you just like, that's how you connect with people. Sometimes like our strongest connections, our best friends are very far away, and the only way you can really connect is with social media. Or if you aren't ready to make that leap, if you don't feel like it's enough of a problem that you want to completely cut it out of your life, how can you scroll responsibly? I just have some things that I try to keep in mind while I'm scrolling, and it keeps me somewhat sane. The second part, things you can do to get your brain back, yourself back. I feel like a lot of us are talking about losing their sense of whimsy, their sense of like childhood joy, but also just like your sense of self. Like, I will talk about it more, but the question of like, do I like this thing because I just like it, or do I like it because I've seen it in my algorithm a million times and I think that I like that color jacket? So that's part 2. And then finally, part 3 are just some really quick actions you can take right now after this video finishes, or you can pause it right then and leave the video. It's fine, so that you don't come back to this video or other brain rot videos a month from now and think, gee, I should start this now. Speaking of other brain rot videos, as I was writing this script and I was looking for more sources and articles and things like that, I stumbled upon a lot of other creators that are talking about similar things. It's very telling that people from all over the world, all different backgrounds, are having similar thoughts, similar problems, and like starting similar conversations. So I will be linking some YouTube videos, some Substacks, etc. down below. People a lot more eloquent than me expressing similar thoughts. So all of that will be in the description box. Also in the description box, while we are protecting ourselves mentally online, we also do want to protect ourselves in other ways online, which is why this video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. A VPN is a virtual private network that can help you use the internet in a plethora of ways, whether it is switching your IP address to be located in different areas, whether you need to access different sources, different digital libraries, etc. Apparently, YouTube advertising is illegal in Albania. So if you watch YouTube on an Albanian server, just saying, you might not get ads. It also helps encrypt your data. It helps you if you are using sketchy public Wi-Fi, keeping you safe if you're doing anything like online banking or entering any kind of private information. We just had a huge data leak here in Korea. Literally every single person, the equivalent of Amazon in Korea, Kupang, leaked everything. So keep yourself safe. You can use it on different devices. You can share with your family. You can share with your roommates. It's really an important thing to have while you are using the internet, especially if you are traveling or using public Wi-Fi or anything like that. So thank you so much to Surfshark VPN. I will have a link in the description box, but you can use my code CariCakes or go to surfshark.com/CariCakes to get 4 extra months of Surfshark. Check them out. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. All that information will be down below, and welcome to the video. Thank you for being here. Okay. Oh, it's chilly. So, bringing you outside. It's cold, so I'm not touching grass, but I am breathing fresh air. In terms of structure, this might seem like a weird place to start this video, but this is what I've been thinking about for the past 5 weeks and wondering, why do I feel so good when I get back from specifically these group trips? Because the trip that I was on in Ireland was a group trip that I hosted with people who watch this channel or watch my book channel, and this is my 3rd and 4th time doing it, and it just makes me feel so good, and I wonder why. And this is what I came up with. Social media tricks me into thinking that certain things matter, and so this is why, if you are a kind of person who cannot, for various reasons, get off of social media right now, you want to just keep doom scrolling, but you want to kind of go in it with a little bit of armor. I wrote down some things that I noticed, like my mind shifted after being just offline and surrounded by normal human people. This one is one that I have been fighting since I was a child. This is before social media. This is just the world at large. But I was born in 1991, so I grew up with the early 2000s of, instead of Ozempic, we just had eating disorders. That's why you see so many millennials in like an uproar about the idea of low-rise jeans coming back, is because we know that it's not just low-rise jeans. It is the complete erasure of any percentage of fat on your body. Luckily for me, I have spent 30 years of my life fighting that evil voice in my head. I'm in a good space, but like, just to let you know, if you are like a teen or even in your early 20s and you're seeing this shift in the beauty standard, like, it's so stupid, but like, give it 10 years and it's gonna go away. It's so harmful, and it's a cycle that I don't think we'll ever get out of. You will never have the correct body throughout your life, and that kind of leads into not only body in terms of body shape, but also body in terms of how old you look, because wow, isn't that a crazy thing that we keep talking about online? And you know what I didn't think about while I was on that trip, and I mentioned it about 2 years ago, I had the exact same feeling when I went on my Iceland trip. I was thinking about Botox. I was like, should I be? Everyone around me has gotten it. Like, should I be thinking about it? The answer was no. Like, I went to Iceland, I had a really wonderful trip, and not once on that entire week did I give a shit about how my face looked. And I felt happy and I felt fulfilled. And the only time that I care about my face is when I am looking in the mirror, not distracted by actually living life. Another thing that actually is really dangerous, in my opinion, is the like subscribing morality to your beauty or your age. You know, we've always seen these celebrities aged so beautifully because they're not problematic. So you're making anyone who looks old equals evil. Anyone who looks like beautiful and young equals good. I really, really hate that, especially when like the people you're talking about have had Botox, have had like relatively, in a lot of cases, stress-free lives. They're using a ton of makeup. They're using filters. They're using Photoshop. People aren't even trying to hide it anymore. It used to be such a scandal here in Korea. Like, if you zoomed in and you saw that like near their jawline, if you could clearly see warping to mean that they like made their face look smaller, that used to be such a shameful thing, and now people don't even notice it. Like, it's so normal for you to post a picture where you can see that you have like enlarged your eyes, made your face smaller, dusted away all of your flyaways and any pore, and like, that's normal, and that really ticks me off.
Literally in a second, you can make your arms slimmer, you can give yourself a swan neck, you can make your legs longer, shrink your entire body. To trust everything you see online.
And so when I am offline and I'm looking at real human faces with texture and not behind a screen, it makes me realize that like, we are We're so much bigger than our faces. Have you seen the girl who reads her diary from when she was a kid, and she has one where she was doing math and she's like, I'm so much bigger than numbers.
I am so much bigger than numbers. LOL.
I think about that all the time. For me, that's the most attractive quality of anyone is like, are you passionate about something? Are you weird? Are you obsessed with something? Are you competent? Oh my God, competency porn. I'm first in line. Like, it's harder to share on social media those bits of you, but that's what's the most amazing. Oh, I saw one girl talk about her smile lines, and someone was like, how did you get rid of your smile lines? And she was like, oh, I just stopped smiling. I was like, pardon? Like, no, girl. No. I think, hot take, not hot take at all, but everyone looks better when they're smiling. Everyone looks better when they're smiling. So, okay, that was a long one. Sorry, I'm probably going to edit that down because I could rant about that all day. But another one that I just noticed really recently about me is that social media has made me nervous about disagreements or conflicting opinions. Like, I would get nervous when people would be having a conversation and they weren't arguing. They were just like respectfully disagreeing. I was sort of like, oh my God, what's going on? I think that it's because social media, no matter what scenario comes up, every scenario needs to have a villain and a victim. And if something doesn't have a clear villain and a victim, you gotta make one. If there's like a gray area where it's like, maybe both people fucked up, or like, maybe like this is really nuanced and I disagree with the way that she chose to do something, but it doesn't make her an evil person, right? Like, that kind of nuance is really lacking. And I find that when I'm on social media too long, I start to look at things that way as well. I feel like a lot of people use social media to have someone tell them how they should feel about something instead of just like free thinking. And then my final thing, kind of related to that, comparing yourself to others, being really influenced by others. And this specifically, shout out to my book community, because this is going to come up. It's already starting. At the end of the year, we start talking about our favorite books, doing a little wrap up. How much have we read? And inevitably, we get into this argument as a community of, how could you have read that much? There's no way that you could have read XYZ. Or like, if you read this many books, you clearly didn't absorb them, or you clearly didn't understand them, or you didn't think critically, or you were like cheating somehow. And there's this weird sense of competitiveness and comparison that only hurts the person who is like comparing themselves. Like, the person who's read 100 books in a year is not hurting. The person who is bothered by another person's reading is the one who's in pain, right? And it shouldn't be that way. So just the personal achievements of others shouldn't be impacting you as much as they do when you're on socials. Anyway, the construction's getting crazy. I've got one last little topic to hit on. Let's go home to do that. It's also cold. Oh, okay. Very quickly, my very last point, that if you didn't connect with any of those, if you are unaffected by any of that, good for you. One thing that you cannot deny that affects you is something that I talked about in my previous video, which is our concept of time. Our concept of time and our memory are intrinsically linked to how we experience social media. You are losing time. If you wonder how some people have so much more hours in the day, maybe they literally do. One quote I've seen people share that really kind of shook them up is that we are the generation that is going to have more memories of other people's lives than we have of our own memories, which is very strange and true. Like, we've talked about this before, that our brains are simply not made to be able to handle this many humans in our lives. Like, we're not supposed to have ever come in contact with the amount of people that we come in contact to in a single day, let alone in our lifetime. I'm not saying that we need to get off of social media completely. Literally 2 nights ago, I watched a video of this woman reacting to a person popping balloons. I will try and find it again and I'll link it down below. It had me like crying. I was sobbing. I was laughing so hard. So there are high points to it, but we just can't spend hours doing it, okay? You will literally be losing huge swaths of your life. And speaking of how the brain works, I will pass you on to part 2, which talks about how we can get control of our brain back. Welcome to part 2. I feel like most of us are here because we already kind of understand the things that I talked about in part 1. We are not having a good time. Something is wrong. What can we do about it? So in this section, I'm going to talk about a couple activities, a couple ways that we can try and reconnect with ourselves, unrot the brain. Okay? And really, brain rot, that feeling, comes from not using our brains the way that they're kind of meant to be used, right? We're essentially turning off parts of our brain and just mindlessly consuming. And so this section is really just going to be ways that you can actually use your brain. It's a beautiful piece of machinery you're working with, okay? Let's see how we can use it. And the first one is deciding things for yourself. So I'm going to link it down below, but there's a really great video, actually all of her content, but specifically this video by a creator called Danae. She makes a lot of content about this subject, and she was talking about brain rot. And one of the things that she brought up is that we stop making decisions, whether it's the algorithm feeding us things or people telling you what to wear, what to buy, what movies to watch, what books to read. We are not really deciding for ourselves. And that causes a bunch of things to happen. Number one, weirdly, I feel like I get decision fatigue more often when I'm in like a more kind of brain rotted mode, because even one decision feels like a lot of things. Because what do you mean I have to use my brain to make a decision? So I've talked about it in a previous video, but even the act of like getting up and choosing to like brush your teeth before you start scrolling or something like that, that can genuinely help set your brain up for the rest of the day in terms of, is it going to be able to easily make decisions or not? Another really good exercise is one I talked about in the previous video, is trying to find something that you gravitate towards naturally without the algorithm's help. And I know that that's really difficult just because we are influenced by things. I mean, even if you take away social media, marketing in general, right? We are influenced by things all the time and things are marketed at us. But go to the library, even if it's like a section you wouldn't normally go to, like go to the kids section and look at picture books and see what art you're drawn to, perhaps. I really like going to museums and just wandering into a random room and picking which thing speaks to me more. If libraries and museums aren't easily available to you, try YouTube. Literally just Google like top songs from XYZ decade and pick your favorite song. Try to see if one pops out at you. I did that a couple years ago with, and this is where like the algorithmic separation is very vague, but I was on, I guess it was Spotify, and there's a playlist of like top of the pops or like the top songs in each country, and I chose England or something like that. I ended up finding like 3 of my now favorite bands because of that, and like I hadn't seen anybody talking about it. I probably would have come across them very soon afterwards, but I felt like they feel more important to me now because I know that I found them relatively naturally just by like me looking for them. I don't know, it just feels different than, for example, when I was trying to find a new couch for my apartment, I just immediately was looking for beige couches because everyone has a beige couch. And I had to stop myself and be like, wait, why can't I look? It's either like a beige couch or like a black leather couch. And I was like, why am I limiting myself? Also, like, who wants a beige couch? Like the stains. I live in Korea. All of our food is red. Why would I get a beige couch? So I have a blue couch. So yeah, there's something to be said about like deciding for yourself. So go look, whether it's like on YouTube or whatever. Music is a really easy one. It's difficult to listen to music that you don't actively like. See if you find something new. But yeah, just decide for yourself. Woo, the sun is killing me. Another way to get back to yourself is to fill your time with things that you love. So now that you've decided what you actually like, let's start doing those things. If you watch this channel, you are probably also a very nostalgic person. I am always talking about things that I loved in my childhood. I'm always thinking about like, how did I fill my time before I had social media and also just like job and life things. I recently started listening to albums front to back. That's how I, before we had any kind of streaming services, if you wanted music, you had to buy the entire album. So when an album came out, you would just sit in your room with your CD player or like go for a walk if you had a Walkman or something like that and really just experience the album. And I kind of stopped doing that, or I tell myself like, oh, I don't have time to do that now. Like I have not listened to the new Hayley Williams album yet because I keep telling myself I need the right time. Like I want to listen to it front to back and I just don't have time. bullshit. Like, I have time. And I saw someone do this with a journal because I'm notoriously not a great journaler, and the only way that I've gotten kind of into journaling is realizing that a journal doesn't need to be just like a chronological record of your day. You can use it for so many different things. You can just make stupid lists, or you can doodle or whatever. And so I saw this girl, and if I can find her, I'll also link her down below, but she was coming up with different kinds of journal prompts, I guess, that weren't really just like writing prompts. She was like, listen to an album and journal about each song, like as you're listening to it, whether it's just writing down a lyric that stands out to you, writing down a memory that you link to the song, a review, like, do you like this song or not? And that has been really fun. That's a way to just be in the zone for like 30 minutes at least, just listening to music and writing, no distractions. Which leads me to a piece of advice I really like, which is use your social media. This was kind of a joke when Pinterest first started, is like, you create all these Pinterest boards and then you absolutely never do any of the things that you pinned. So all of those recipes, all those craft projects you were thinking about, you're never going to actually do them. I'm super guilty of that, been guilty of that for like a decade, honestly. And I saw this girl, again, if I find her, I will link her down below. So many amazing creators talking about how to engage with social media in a cool way. She was talking about how she either weekly or perhaps monthly, I feel like monthly is more realistic, she will have a day where she sits down and she actually goes through all of the things that she pinned that month. So she must make like a board or something like that for each month. She will physically write down the things that she saved or pinned or whatever, and she will actively try to do those things within the next month. Whether you've saved, speaking from experience, if you've saved 1 million soup recipes, I actually made a soup last week. Amazing, stunning, cured me. Truly so good. I have saved or screenshotted a bunch of movies, a bunch of artists I want to look up, especially now with Christmas time, Christmas crafts and things like that, cookies you want to bake. Write them down and actually try and do them. It's kind of like a social media audit instead of just saving it and continuing to scroll. And then it just adds up, and then you lose that recipe. And imagine my life if I hadn't made that carrot ginger soup. I would be a sadder person. I would be lacking vitamin C is what I would be. And it's also just another way to be offline and use your social media. And really quickly, speaking of bringing social media into your offline world, I want to give a shout out to Jenny. She is a really cool book content creator that I love, and she just started an anti-brain rot challenge where she has actually created kind of like a schedule and goals for reading. So if you do want to get back into reading and you find that your attention span and everything, you don't know where to go, you don't know where to start, Jenny's got you. So I will link her down below. Her handle is This Story Ain't Over. Yeah, if 2026 you're looking to start reading more, she's got your back. Okay, we love book talk in this house. And my very final suggestion in this section, as the sun comes back out, is to be bored. This is how you really connect back with your brain. This is how you heal the brain rot, attention span, the frustration you have with like not being able to do a task, decision fatigue, all of these things. I sound super woo-woo, like, oh, we're gonna heal you, but truly be bored. Quiet your mind. A common recommendation for like how to deal with your social media addiction is to like set times when you should be on your phone. So like, oh, I'm only going to be on social media for 1 hour today, or I'm only going to look at my phone after dinner or something like that. That never really works for me. What works for me is telling myself specifically when to not look at my phone. So I use public transportation all the time. I do not look at my phone I try not to. Okay, nobody's perfect. I really try not to look at social media on the bus, on the subway, as I'm waiting for things. If I'm at a doctor's office, if I'm waiting for the bus, if I'm at a cafe and they're making my drink, I am capable of just standing there. Like it's not weird. I feel like nowadays, like a lot of times on the subway, for example, I look at my phone because I'm like, where do I look? like, do I just stare at the person in front of me? Like there's a sense of awkwardness, but I remember growing up, like, even though it was awkward, it wasn't bad. Like, it's okay to be awkward and to be bored. You know, just kind of standing around, twiddling your thumbs, looking around is totally fine as you wait for someone to make your coffee, as you wait for the bus to pull up. Also, like, I have a book, I have music, I have other things to distract me, but really for me, being bored, observing other people, observing the world around me is what inspires me. And I always say that New York City is where I feel the most inspired in terms of writing. Like when I did most of my favorite creative writing in New York, and I felt like it was just flowing out of me in that city. And a part of it is New York is just, for me, the most inspiring place. But also it was a place that I lived before I had social media. And so I was just staring into space, watching people, thinking a lot. Like sometimes I would come home. I lived in the Bronx, and I used to, on Saturdays, I would take the D train down to Grand, which is in like Chinatown, like almost as far down as you can go in Manhattan. And I would walk all the way back up to Columbus Circle, like Central Park area, sometimes further than that. I would just think, and I would look around, and I would like make pit stops to get coffee or like look in a bookstore or something, but I would just be with my thoughts. And I was just, my brain, I would get stuck on a word and I would just want to write about it. And I don't really allow my brain to do that anymore. I don't give myself enough of a quiet moment for my brain to like have a weird word come to the surface and kind of like burrow in me and need to be written down. I feel like we aren't feeling as creative or inspired as we used to because we just don't let ourselves let the creativity come out. There's so much noise, and we're just consuming so much that we're not giving ourselves a chance to see what organically comes out of us. So truly, being bored, being quiet is such a gift to your brain. So I think it was actually Danae, who again is linked down below. She talked about how she just kind of sits for like, she started with 5 minutes, and it's not necessarily meditation, but it in a way is. She just kind of would sit quietly for 5 minutes, and then it upped to 10, and then she like upped it to 15. Literally just find a space where you find yourself mindlessly scrolling and see if you can make that a rule to not do that. You get to class early and you're just awkwardly kind of scrolling as you wait for class to start or something like that. Sit at your desk, doodle, smile at the person sitting next to you, and try to talk to them. Find pockets where you can get yourself to not scroll and be quiet and be bored. And I think you'll find it gets easier and it gets, I don't know, more exciting. Like I genuinely have fun in my head talking to myself, especially on the bus. You see crazy things in the city. I know that some people talk about anxiety, and that's why they like don't want to sit with their thoughts. Obviously, I don't know this is not for every single case, but I find that for me, a lot of my anxiety comes from being online. So once I remove myself for a little bit, my anxiety is less. So me sitting with my thoughts isn't scary anymore because I'm less anxious. So you're just kind of, a lot of people, again, not everyone, but a lot of us are keeping ourselves in this scary loop of anxiety, and we're just not even putting a Band-Aid on it. Honestly, we're just kind of like spraying it with some disinfectant that is actually just making the wound worse, you know? You might feel a little anxious right when you do it because that's kind of what addiction is. But once you kind of settle down, I think that you will be surprised at how your mind can actually be quiet if you let it. Those are just a couple ways to try and get your brain back. Unrot that brain. Okay, team, last but not least, what the hell are we supposed to do? So I'm going to give you 3 things. 2 are very easy. One of them might take you a little bit of time, but I'm going to give you 3 activities that you can do right after this that will hopefully help shake up the cycle and get your brain back, okay? Number 1 being, when you wake up in the morning tomorrow, do not look at your phone for the first 10 minutes. If you're the kind of person that when your alarm goes off, you can easily get out of bed, like me, I want you to put a timer on. Leave your phone in the bed, brush your teeth, wash your face, do whatever the hell you need to do. Timer still hasn't gone off. Do some stretches. Have a cup of water. I've been doing like some lymphatic draining. Do something for 10 minutes and see how it affects you. If you are the kind of person that cannot get out of bed when an alarm goes off, if you're like my mother, do a body scan. Lay in bed, turn off your alarm, whatever, lay in bed. And instead of looking at your phone, do a complete scan of your body. It's a form of meditation, but just check in on starting with either the top of your head or the bottom of your foot and just like scan each part of your body and be like, how does that feel? Rub your feet against your sheets. How does that feel? Are you hot? Are you cold? Do you feel any aches or pains? And give your brain a couple seconds to like actually wake up. I'll have it linked down below, but there's an article that I've attached from The Independent talking about how your brain waves, like if you wake up and you go from like sleep to scrolling, your brain goes from unconscious to alert way faster than it should. It actually makes you more stressed. Like because you are immediately on, that kind of triggers a part of our brain that is like, we woke up fast because we're scared, we're ready to fight, you know? So you'll just feel like more overwhelmed and stressed throughout the day. Choose your poison, which one you want to do. But try your best to go for as long as possible without checking your phone in the morning. And if that means that for me, what's helpful is having a little to-do list. I write one at night before I go to bed, and I write down kind of like a morning routine so that I get up and I do those things. Okay, that's your first one. Second one, I want you to either right now or whenever you have free time, I want you to actually go through your day, your typical day, and really think about the times when you scroll and you don't need to. When are you scrolling to kill time? So like I talked about, on the bus, waiting for my coffee order. Even honestly, sometimes when I'm importing footage to my computer, I kind of sit here and, you know, when you have like an awkward amount of time, write those down, and I want you to pick one or two of them. And the next time you get to that point in your day, I want you to actively try and just sit. That's it. Just instead of being like, I'm only going to be on Instagram for 1 hour, I want you to be like, I'm not going to be on Instagram for these 5 minutes, because that's what's really helped me. I want you to try that tomorrow or throughout the week. And then the final thing, the one that will take a little bit more time, is honestly try to journal about something that's fun. The activity I told you about of like listening to a song, listening to an album, listening to a playlist, and just kind of doodling or journaling out your thoughts. And you don't need to have a journal to do this. You don't even need to keep the piece of paper, honestly. You can literally just do it on like the back of a receipt or something. Just like take the time to just be like listening to music and writing something down. I think you'll honestly have fun. And even if you only do it once, hey, that was some time that you distracted yourself from the doom scrolling. So I call it a win. This video got longer than I expected it to, so I'm going to kind of end it here. But I know that the first part and the second part were a little bit discombobulated, but I just really, coming back from this trip and coming back from every trip I ever go on, I'm always struck by how when I'm actually out there living, these things that feel so big aren't that big of a deal. It just like puts things into perspective. I think that that's what social media really does negatively for me, is that it really warps my perspective, and it warps kind of what I prioritize in my life and what I care about, or especially what I think other people think has value. Like for me, maybe I don't care about how people look, but I know that society cares how people look, you know? I mean, I do think the true medicine for it is like actually just being out and about with your friends, like face to face, but we can't do that all the time. And as someone who lives on the other side of the world from some of her best friends, I get it. So yeah, I hope that any of these talking points helped. And if you have any ideas or like any other rabbit holes you'd kind of want to go down, let me know in the comments, or like what is something that you found that social media made you think was really important until you kind of stepped back and you were like, wait, actually nobody gives a shit. Let me know, because I feel like there are so many things that I haven't even noticed myself. But yeah, I just hope that we can all find that happy medium of being able to use social media to make these amazing connections. Most of my friends nowadays I have made through the internet. So I hope that we can find that space where we can continue to create community and make these great friends and these great memories, while also not giving in to a lot of these kind of negative ways of thinking and ways of living and things like that. So I wish us all luck, especially as the holidays come around. I feel like a lot of us tend to use social media as an escape from some things. So just hope you head into the new year really strong and happy. It's a rough time, so be easy on yourself. And once again, thank you so much to Surfshark. That information will be down below, but you can go to surfshark.com/caricakes or use my code caricakes to get 4 extra months of Surfshark if you're traveling, whatever it is. Be sure to, keep yourself and your data safe. So yeah, thank you so much to Surfshark. Thank you so much for being here for this long chat. And I'll see you guys next time. Okay? Bye.
Oh, I don't like that. Stop slapping it. Is this like a... Oh...